Regulation without supervision and enforcement amounts to nothing. That's why at the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, they have zero tolerance towards operators who do not comply by the set guideline by the Commission, especially when it has to do with the investment of pension funds. Hello and welcome to Pension Matters, the pension awareness program where we teach you how to save against the rainy days. My name is Princess Rabi Ibrahim and I'm so glad to have you join us. In today's episode of the program, we'll be discussing about regulation, supervision, and the guidelines that protect the contribution of account holders. For details of this and more, stay with us as the program will continue shortly.
Do you know there is a new pension scheme in Nigeria? It is mandatory, it is contributory, it is fully funded, based on individual retirement savings account. Under the supervision of the National Pensions Commission, the new pension scheme guarantees lifelong financial independence for every citizen of Nigeria in public or private employment. PENCOM says it's a new dawn. Call the National Pensions Commission now or log on to www.pencom.gov.ng for further details. PENCOM, your contribution counts.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, the program is Pension Matters, and it's now time for us to join Adanze to tell us what is trailing in the pension industry. Adanze, over to you.
Thank you very much, Princess. Hello viewers, welcome to Pension Trail. This is where we'll give you the latest updates and happenings in the pension industry. My name is Adanze Okorocha. On our story today, FUG Pension gets ISO Certification Award. FUG Pension has been awarded with the ISO 9001-2008 Quality Management System Certification by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, after undergoing auditing and other process to achieve international acceptable standard in quality management system. The managing director of FUG Pensions, Usman B. Suleiman, said that the company has now been challenged as the certification is aimed at repositioning the company for greater excellence delivery to the customers. Secondly, PFAs target 20 million contributors by 2025. The Executive Secretary of the Pension Fund Operators Association of Nigeria, Ms. Susan Oranye, said the industry strategic direction is to ensure that over 20 million Nigerians are signed up to the 10-year-old contributory pension scheme in Nigeria. According to Ms. Oranye, the scheme stands at 6.9 million contributors nationwide, and this figure has contributed to 5.3 trillion naira so far. Finally, Power Pension approved 70 kobo dividends per share. The shareholders of the Pension Alliance Limited has approved the proposal by the company's management for the distribution of profit through a dividend of 70 kobo per share capital. The approved dividends was as a result of the impressive outing of the company in the 2015 financial year. Despite the difficulties in the nation's microeconomic environment, the company's financial performance remained strong. Mr. Dave Udano, the managing director, stated that over 10 years of the company's operation as a pension fund operator, it has successfully grown as a brand with value and integrity in the Nigeria pension industry. Well, viewers, this is the much we can take on Pension Trade today. Let's get back to Princess.
Thank you very much, Adenze, for giving us that beautiful update on what is trailing in the pension industry this week. Viewers, the program is Pension Matters, and it's time for our up-close segment. In our up-close segment today, we'll continue this series. We start running with the head of Surveillance Department of the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, in the person of Mohammed Bello Omar. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you again.
Yes, nice coming here.
We had a good time last week.
Yes.
Discussing some issues regarding to your department.
Definitely.
Now, we'll continue from where we stopped last week. I would like to know, how does PENCOM ensure the safety of funds, that is pension funds, in the hand of the pension fund custodians?
Well, right from the Act itself, the separation of duties was enshrined, meaning that the pension assets are being managed by two independent companies. The first one is the pension manager, which is the pension fund administrator, and the second one is the pension fund custodian.
Okay.
The pension fund administrator is just to manage. That is, he is the one that will make the investment decisions, whether to buy shares, whether to buy property, whether to buy treasury bills.
That's the PFAs.
That is the PFAs.
No wonder they're more popular than other ones.
Yes, but the custodian is the one that keeps the money.
Oh, great.
So all the monthly contributions that are made by on behalf of the workers, all the monthly contributions, they go to an account that is maintained by the custodian. So he keeps custody of the money. And he doesn't do anything with the money until he receives an instruction from the PFA.
Okay.
Because, like, for example, if a custodian in a month receives 500 million from a PFA, the PFA is the one to tell him that, okay, pay 50 million for purchase of, let's say, Dangote cement shares. So the custodian will now take 50 million and collect the share certificates worth 50 million. So which means that the money has not changed. Only what has changed is that instead of cash, you now have share certificates. And then he gets another instructions, pay 100 million to buy Liver Brothers. So like that. But whether it is in cash, whether it is in share certificates, whether it is in certificate of occupancy for a property, it is the custodian that keep all of that. So, and the custodian is liable if there is any loss of this asset, whether it is he lost the shares or the certificate of the shares or the property, he will be responsible to pay any difference.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that means he will not agree for the PFA to tell him to do something wrong. Because if the PFA tells him, look, pay 10 million to MV Umar, and he pays, then he is responsible. When Pong look at it and say, hey, why did you pay MV Umar 10 million? Say, hey, PFA say I should do that. And say, it's against the law. So bring 10 million from your pocket and replace this money.
Oh, really?
Yes. The PFA also is the manager. He's the one that will buy the shares and all that. So there is no way he will agree that the custodian will say, okay, buy this share. It's his own responsibility.
Yes.
So that separation alone is one of the reasons why after 11 years or 12 years, we have not seen any one single case of fraud. The second one is that the whole business is automated. So we see them on a daily basis. We see what they are doing. We have access to, like, the daily stock exchange sales. They trade it in the shares every day. They do in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We see it. So if you buy PZ and sell USC, we will see.
Exactly.
On every day we see it. So we know what is happening. The same thing, if you are buying treasury bills, we have access to the information from the DMO, the management office. So we see. And on a daily basis, you must send us the returns.
Yes.
So you will tell us, okay, I have bought this share, this one, I have sold this and this and this, and then we'll check and see. So because of the daily monitoring and the separation of duties, I mean, we have done more than 11 years now without a single case of fraud.
I'm happy the explanation I just give you right now, that the pension fund custodians, they are in the custody of the pension funds.
Yes.
That is the contributions that goes into the retirement savings account.
Yes.
For these account holders.
Yes.
And the pension fund administrators, they're only just to manage.
Yes.
And instruct or liaise with the pension fund custodians. This is a beautiful arrangement. It will make sure that the contributory pension scheme, is very, very transparent. Now, after hearing this from me, sir, we would like to find out, how does now PENCOM make sure that there's transparency, because the defined benefit scheme failed roughly because it was not properly managed. It was not handled properly by those who are managing the fund. Now, under the contributory pension scheme, how do National Pension Commission, as the regulator, ensure transparency among the pension fund administrators?
Yes. Two things here. You know that these people are private, so they must be paid money to do the job.
Okay.
And PENCOM has a regime of fees that we pay the FFA, the custodian, and even PEMCON itself. Now, I mean, the fee structure is very clear, is very straightforward. So, if at the end of the month, you do the management, then we look at the funds and the total funds and their management, and then everybody is paid the fees based on that fund that is being managed.
Exactly.
So you get your fees, and from that your fees, you pay your staff, the staff that you employ, you rent your property,
Overhead
buildings,
costs.
all the overhead costs and things like that. So that's how it is done. At the initial stages, I mean, it took them about 3 to 4 years, mostly, before they can break even. Most of the papers, when they started, 3 years they were making losses.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we know, because when we started, we have a projection. The funds have to grow before you can get enough fees. But then that's why we ask them to provide enough capital.
Good.
Yeah, so that until then, when you have generated enough business, then you now start making.
I agree with you, sir. You know, when you start a business, you must encounter some losses before you start making gain. So we'll take a short break now to come back for you to give us more insight into these activities of your department and the National Pension Commission. Viewers, the program is Pension Matters, and we're discussing with the head of Surveillance Department at the National Pension Commission in the person of Bello Omar. With that short break now, we'll come back. We'll bring you more on this program. Don't go away. Welcome back. The program is Pension Matters. Sir, before the break, you were giving us reasons how the pension fund administrators must be transparent. The mechanism that have been put in place by National Pension Commission to make sure there's transparency among the pension fund administrators. Can you tell us more?
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, everybody, I mean, has to do it in the open, and the books are clear. Now, another thing is that the trading they do, the buying and selling of these assets, is only done on regulated markets.
Exactly.
So you cannot go to, outside the recognized markets and do this trading. So if it is equities, you have to go on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. If it is treasury, you have to go to the DMO. If it is money market, you have to go through the central bank. Now, if you are doing property, it has to be through the Nigerian Financing Company and the mortgage institution. So that way is not, you cannot just go and do maybe an individual transaction.
So in a nutshell, what you're trying to say that they must follow the investment guideline as stipulated by National Pension Commission.
Exactly.
That's great. So now, we've talked about the guidelines they must follow. You as the regulator, you have the cane at least to flog any erring pension fund administrator or any of the operators. So I want you to tell us now, are there certain form of sanctions both to the pension fund custodians and the pension fund administrators should they not play by the rule?
Yes, there are. Their licensing has conditions. So when we get them licensed, there are conditions attached to it.
Okay.
And there are also conditions in the Act which ask them to do something and not to do something. So there is also a code of conduct that we ask them to sign. His director signed that code of conduct that he will uphold the best corporate governance and integrity and things like that. Now then we have now a sanction regime that says that, okay, something that you are supposed to do, if you don't do, then this is how you are sanctioned.
Exactly.
If you do something that you are not supposed to do, also this is how you are penalized. So, for example, if you take the investments, we don't want you to put all the eggs in one basket. So we say that we put limits. Like, for example, in shares of companies, you cannot buy more than 25% of the money you are managing.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that is why when there was a crash in the stock market, the pension funds were less impacted because
I was surprised.
Yeah, because by the time the market was crashing, their total exposure was less than 10%. So to that extent, they were not exposed, and then which means that if they are making losses in the stock market, they have 90% they are making money. So what happens is that when you add the two, the profits, they still make profit. So that's how we manage that one.
So, you know, just with regards to what you just said,
Yes.
when there was that crash
Yes.
in the stock market,
Yes.
my heart skipped because I know that one of the investment areas is through the stock.
Exactly.
So, but I'm happy with what you just said now, and that's the reason it didn't affect
That
the
is why
pension.
we put the limits that you cannot exceed, because I mean it's common sense. You don't put all your eggs in one basket.
One
So
basket, yeah.
when anything happens, the basket fall and everything is done. So that way. So we'll monitor that one. If you exceed, then we penalize you.
Okay.
We ask you to go back, rebalance it, bring it down to the limit, and then you pay penalty. We charge them, we can then penalize you depending upon the extent of, like if you exceed by maybe 10 million, we charge you maybe 1 million.
Exactly.
Apart from going back to bring it down, you are also penalized 1 million. If like it is 100 million, maybe we charge you 5 million. So
Wow.
different rates. And then there are also, apart from just sanctioning somebody monetarily, we can also deal with the officers and directors. So we can, like, for example, we can caution somebody and say, look, we notice you are doing something, be careful. If you still continue, we'll give you a warning. If you continue, we can suspend you. So we can suspend a manager, we can suspend an MD, we can suspend a director. At the height of it, we can even remove them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
When you remove them, you ask the company to replace with another person, or the National Pension Commission, as the regulatory body, can ask somebody from PENCOM to go and manage the place for a while, just like they do in the insurance industry.
Well, I mean, we have the option of doing both. Like, for example, we can remove and say that replace it with somebody.
Great.
Yeah. But sometimes whereby maybe the problem is not just one person, but maybe the entire management. Then what we may do is to remove the management and PENCOM will now appoint maybe an interim management.
Okay.
But usually it will not be PENCOM staff. We will source people from outside, maybe people who have worked and will have experience, or either as, central bankers or bankers, or they have worked with NDIC or with central bank or with SEC or things like that, so that you know them. They have the experience, so they can manage the
good
place.
track record.
Yes, and they have the integrity, so you can. In some instances we do that, but on no account will we send some PENCOM staff to go and manage directly.
One of the beauty of the contributory pension scheme is that we have a regulatory body that is very stark in the activities, in the supervision, and in the monitoring of the activities of the operators. I want to find out, how has it been between the regulator and the operator?
Well, incidentally, we have a very cordial relationship, because the philosophy of PENCOM is not like the police. Our philosophy is consultative. So our operator supervision is consultative in nature. So we consult, we engage them. Everything we do, we get them to. Even the sanction regime, we expose it to them and say, okay, look, this is what we want to do in case you violate the rule. Look at it. Do you have any comments? They make comments, and then we look at the comments. Some we accept, some we don't. But then at least we have given them the chance to, first of all, look at it. And the same thing with the investment regulation, all those limits that we send, we always expose it to them, so that they can see exactly what it is. If they have something to add, we now look at their own viewpoint. In fact, most of our rules and regulations and guidelines, not only the operators, we even expose it to the general public.
Exactly.
And other key stakeholders, and we get useful comments. The other one is that we meet with the operators every 2 months, bi-monthly. Yeah, every 2 months we have a meeting with them, and we sit down and we discuss issues. We listen to their own complaints or comments or issues or challenges, and then we tell them also our thinking and how we perceive things, and where we think that there should be more effort, more attention to be paid to, and things like that. So we work like a close family. But if it's like with your children, you are together with them, you get close to them, but when they then do something, you find a way of disciplining them.
I'm so happy you've been able to throw more light on the investment guidelines and then educate our viewers on the sanctions and the do's and don'ts that the National Pension Commission have laid out there for the operators to follow. Thank you so very much for coming to the program.
Thank you very much.
When I call you next time, I hope you oblige me.
I will always be there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Viewers, the program is Pension Matters, and I've been discussing with the head of Surveillance Department of the National Pension Commission, Mr. Bello Omar. It's now time for us to take pension education with Patrick. Mr. Patrick, over to you.
Thank you very much, Princess. Hello, viewers. Welcome to this week's pension education segment. My name is Igbo Patrick. Last week, we looked at the pension fund administrators, one of the team players within the contributory pension scheme. We talked about their various roles, and we mentioned how important they are to the contributory pension scheme. Today, we shall be looking at the pension fund custodians, popularly referred to as the PFCs. Now, the pension fund custodians is the final team player within the contributory pension scheme. They are expected to play the role of holding on, that's in custody of the assets of the pension fund that is being administered by the pension fund administrators. The pension fund custodians are actually responsible for managing the pension assets, and they are required to have a parent body that must be a commercial bank. Now, in this case, we have about 4 pension custodians that are currently licensed by the National Pension Commission. We have the Zenith Pension Custodian, whose parent body is Zenith Bank. We have First Pension Custodians, whose parent body is the First Bank. We also have the Diamond Bank, whose Diamond Pension Custodian, whose parent body is the Diamond Bank. And finally, we have the UBA Pension Fund Custodian, whose parent body is United Bank for Africa. Now, the PFCs are actually expected to have a relationship with the PFAs. That is the role. They have a direct relationship with the pension fund administrators. They do not deal with any employee or an employer. What is expected is that once you have remitted your funds through the parent organization, which is the bank, they are in turn expected to forward the details of what has been remitted into the retirement savings account and notify the pension fund administrators of the funds that have been received. They are also expected to take directive and from the PFA to be able to know how to be able to move the funds into the various investments that is required. Now, the pension fund custodians too are expected to be a kind of a check for the commission, irrespective of their relationship with the pension fund administrators. They are expected to confirm on regular basis from the pension commission information as required, most especially with those who are withdrawing from the contributory pension scheme, that's from the fund. They are expected to ensure that payments that are made are in line with the approvals given by the pension commission. The PFC, which is the final team player, is expected to continue to ensure that we have stability within the contributory pension scheme. Thank you very much, viewers. See you next week.
Wonderful. Good job, Mr. Patrick. I must thank you for that pension education. You are becoming a guru in the issue of pension in Nigeria. I would advise you, Mr. Patrick, to write a book to educate people more on pension, especially as it has to do with the contributory pension scheme. Viewers, on that note, we come to the end of our program for today. That's our package of pension matters for this week. We do hope you enjoyed all our offerings, and then looking forward for you joining us next week, same time, same station, for another exciting episode of Pension Matters. For your comments, questions, and contribution, you can reach us on our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and the number displayed on your screen right now. Until then, next week, I remain yours, Princess Rabi Ibrahim, and I urge you to enjoy your weekend.